Today we will be talking about multiplication patterns when it comes to even and odd numbers. So before we get started, I just want to go over what are even numbers and what are odd numbers. Even numbers are numbers that end in 0, 2, 4, 6, and 8. So for example, if I had the number 12, it ends in a 2, so I know that that is an even number. However, if I have a 17, it ends in a 7. That is not an even number because it does not end in 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. Another way that you can tell a number is even is if that whole number can be divided by 2 with none left over. In order to figure out if a number is odd, that number has to be a whole number that cannot be divided by 2 with none left over. So for example, if I divided the number 5 into 2 equal groups, so here are my 2 groups. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They are not equal groups, so that means I cannot divide my last one, and that one is left over. So 5 can be split into 2 into 2 equal groups with 1 left over, so therefore is an odd number. So an odd number are whole numbers that cannot be divided by 2 with none left over. So here are some rules to remember when you're multiplying numbers. If you are multiplying an even number times another even number, you will always get an even number. If you are multiplying an even number by an odd number, you will always get an even number. If you are multiplying an odd number by an even number, you will always get an even number. And finally, if you multiply an odd number times another odd number, you will get an odd number. These rules are important to remember for this lesson. So let's jump into number 1. For number 1, we have 4 times 7. So let's take a look at each number individually to see if they're odd numbers or even numbers. So I know that 4 is an even number because, as stated before, an even number can end in 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. And 4 ends in 4, so that is an even number. I also know that I can divide 4 by 2 evenly without getting any leftovers. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Now let's look at the 7. The 7 is an odd number. I know it's an odd number because it cannot be divided by 2. When I list my multiples of 2, I do not say the number 7. Let's try. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. I did not say 7, so it is not divisible by 2, so 7 is an odd number. So now I have an even number multiplied by an odd number. So let's look back at our rules to remember. I have an even number times an odd number. So what will my answer be? Will my answer be even or odd? If I do an even number times an odd number, my answer will be even. So now that I know my answer is even, let's try to find our answer for 4 times 7. I know 4 times 7 gives me 28. Let's try another example. For number 2, we have 2 times 6. So let's look at each number individually in the problem, each factor. So 2 I know is an even number because it ends in a 2. And I know that 6 is also an even number because it ends in a 6. So now I have an even number multiplied by another even number. So let's see, if we have an even number times an even number, that should give us an even number as an answer. So 2 times 6 is even. So 2 times 6 gives me an answer of 12. So I can count by 2 6 times or count by 6s 2 times. Finally, let's look at number 3. For number 3, we have 3 times 9. So let's look at each factor individually to see if they're even numbers or odd numbers. So I know that 3 doesn't end in 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. So 3 is an odd number. Also, 9 does not end in 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8, so I know 9 is also an odd number. So now I have an odd number multiplied by an odd number. Let's look back at our rules to see what happens when we do an odd number times an odd number. We get an odd number as the answer. So 9 times 3 is odd. And if you look, 3 times 9 gives me 27. And 27 is an odd number because it does not end in 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. This is how you can use odd and even numbers to help you with your multiplication.